Hello everyone, it's Asian Anthony, and today we're going to talk about four things you need to know before you move to Vietnam or Thailand. Just as a few background points, I am American and I have been living across Southeast Asia and Latin America for almost 10 years now, and I'm going to give you some tips. I know this is a popular topic right now and people are thinking about moving outside of America, and I am here to dispel a few myths because it is not as easy as you think. So let's get into it. Number one, number one is going to cancel a lot of people's plans, okay? Because this is one thing that I had to learn the hard way. Here's the first thing you need to know. What kind of visa are you going to get? Did you think about that? Do you think that just because you have an American passport, you can just move to these countries? It does not work that way. Okay, so are you going to get a business visa, a student visa, some type of digital nomad visa? Do these countries offer these options? And I'm here to tell you that these are not realistic options for most people. Okay, you're not going to enroll into a school, you don't speak the language. Most people don't have the means to get a business visa, although I will touch on that later, or an investment visa or a retirement visa. To be honest, most people who live in these countries don't live there with these type of visas. What most people do is something called border runs, and that is when they've exhausted their visa, they usually go to the neighboring country for one day and then they return back to their desired country. This usually works, but Thailand has cracked down on this, and as of 2026, this is no longer an option. So if you go to Thailand, you have 30 to 60 days. And if you cannot find a way to get your business visa, you're not going to be able to stay. And I'm going to be honest with you, you're probably not going to get a business visa. I don't even know how you would get a business visa. You can get a work visa. A lot of people turn to teaching or tutoring to try to get a work visa, but that requires, a different type of lifestyle. But this is something I've done in the past too, so there's no shame in that. For Vietnam, I lived in Vietnam for 3 years. I never once had a visa. I did do border runs for 3 years, and it was fine. Actually, I used to get on my motorbike. I would drive to Laos myself, go to Laos for maybe a few hours, maybe a day, and I would turn back around. Never once had a problem. Okay, I'm not suggesting it because it is technically illegal. It's not illegal, it's just against the spirit of the law, but it definitely is an option. And if you don't know what type of visa you're going to get, go to Vietnam. It's far easier, because you actually can do the border runs there, and they're not cracking down as of yet in 2026. I guarantee you, as Vietnam continues to become more and more popular, they will crack down on this. Okay, so number one, think about what visa you're going to get. Okay, number two, affordability. Okay, I know Instagram makes everything look so easy to do, but to be honest with you, the cost of things that you as an American or a Westerner want don't change. So the price of an iPhone, whether you buy it in Vietnam or America, that price doesn't change. Same with MacBooks. All the things that you normally want to buy, if you like expensive cologne like I do, if you want to buy Nike Air Maxes or Jordans or whatever you want to buy, those prices don't actually change. You're not going to get a better deal because you bought those things in a different country. So these countries actually can be just as expensive as America. As far as rent goes, yes, rent is significantly cheaper. I mean, mind-blowingly cheaper. But remember, you are not likely to stay in some random neighborhood in Thailand or Vietnam. A, they wouldn't rent to you. B, you wouldn't even know how to find a way to, approach these people to rent. And C, in Vietnam especially, it's illegal. They would, if you don't have all of your paperwork in line, they're not just going to let you live in some random neighborhood. So this pretty much forces you to live in the more high-end neighborhoods, which means you're going to be paying the higher prices. Still far more affordable than America, but please remember, it's not going to be as dirt cheap as you think. But I still want to say very affordable, but not as affordable as a lot of people try to make it, because you have to live in these high-rise condos and these nicer neighborhoods, et cetera, et cetera. Anybody who lives in Vietnam right now, in Hanoi, where I live, knows that pretty much everyone lives in Tahoe. Okay, and it's fantastic. Okay, but let's move on. Number three, You will always be an outsider. They will never truly accept you as much as they smile in your face. You will never be one of them. You can get married to a Thai person or a Vietnamese person. You still won't be looked at as Thai or Vietnamese. You can have kids there. Your kids will never be looked at as Thai or Vietnamese. You can live there for 10 or 15 years. They will still look you directly in the face and call you a foreigner with absolutely no shame. You can have as many friends as you want, but you will always be an outsider. They will always treat you like an outsider. Once again, this has come from somebody who has lived in these places. Currently, I'm in Myanmar, and I got a lot of people here I love, but to be quite honest with you, you will always be looked at as an outsider. You will never truly be given the opportunity to assimilate. Sad, but it's true, and you need to take that into consideration. And for the last point, okay, both countries come with the idea that you do not have freedom of speech. Both of these countries, including Thailand, are far more modest than you think. Let's start with Vietnam. In Vietnam, you must worship Ho Chi Minh. You don't have a choice. You can't say things like you're not a communist, not out loud, not out loud. You must be an expert on the Vietnamese American War. And when I say you must be an expert, you must just just accept the fact that America lost, and apparently we lost so badly that is not even we just didn't even have a chance according to them. They really pride themselves on that American war, and you just have to be comfortable with that. But that's not really the problem. The problem is you're not allowed to speak out against the government, the one party communist government rule, and you are not allowed to have there's no freedom of press and there's no freedom of speech. And Thailand is the same way to a lesser extent. Although they don't have a Ho Chi Minh-like figure, they do have a king. And not only can you not disrespect the king, you're not allowed to say anything about the royal family in general. Okay, so remember that. If you care about that type of freedom, I don't recommend you going to these countries. And Thailand has this persona of being laissez-faire, everything kind of goes. I'm like, that is not really the case, especially if you want to move to the beautiful south of Thailand, where there's a heavy Islamic influence and people are not holding hands in public. You're not kissing your girlfriend in public. They are far more modest. Please remember, the tourist life is not the life of a resident. Rules for the tourist are not the same for the rules for the resident there. So you might see your family members and friends come to Thailand and wild out. But if you live in Thailand, you better be on your best behavior, because the police there, although they might be corrupt, they do not play games, they do not say sorry, and they do not care where you are from, okay? They are, in Thailand, they're getting fed up with the foreigners. Actually, I would say Thailand is over. And I'm not being hyperbolic. They are fed up. They're trying to find new ways to make revenue come in from outside. They're trying to get a different type of tourist, a different type of foreigner. They're looking for more of the investment type, the investor types, and not the 20-year-old who saved his summer job money to go to Thailand for 2 weeks. They're moving past that, and Vietnam is becoming more and more popular. But unfortunately, Vietnam is far too strict to be as free as Thailand. You can't just be smoking weed and chasing girls in Vietnam like you can in Thailand. As a matter of fact, I don't recommend dating in Vietnam at all. Okay, I just don't recommend it. There are just far better options, even in Cambodia, Laos. Literally everywhere in Southeast Asia has a better dating scene than Vietnam. Vietnam has the worst dating scene, and the girls all kind of look the same anyway. But like I said, I lived in Vietnam for many years, and I fell in love in Vietnam. I fell in love with Vietnam, and I fell in love in Vietnam, and have lots of loved ones. So no disrespect to these countries, but if you're going to move to these countries, please be aware of these things, and do not forget that your American passport does not guarantee you long-term stay in any country. And I know there's somebody who's watching this that needs to hear that, because I needed to hear that. Well, I did not know that, I couldn't just stay in any country I wanted to long-term. So when you go to these countries, be prepared. Have money, have a plan, and understand that when you visiting as a tourist is not the same as living in these countries.